Durham University, Contractor Induction. Welcome to Durham University. The Durham University estate is spread across the city as well as another campus in Stockton and buildings around the county. This induction will set out Durham University's rules and procedures, signing in and out, emergency arrangements, safe working practices, Durham University's commitment to sustainability and biodiversity. All contractors who visit Durham University should receive this induction before working on site and make sure they understand and follow the information within it. When working on Durham University's estate, you are representing the university. You should dress and act accordingly. All work on the estate must comply with the Health and Safety at Work etc. Act 1974 and regulations associated with it. As a client, we want you to work safely and for any work to not adversely impact our staff, our students, members of the public or our teaching and research. You should follow all local site rules when on the campus. You may be visited by a member of Durham University staff when on site to ensure you are working safely and in compliance with the university's policies. The estate has land and buildings across the whole city and wider region. Signing in and access to keys is currently located at reception at Upper Mount Joy, or if out of hours, at security. Key contacts. You should contact your Durham University representative for day-to-day works. For emergencies or when out of hours, you should contact 999 or security where required. On your first day, you should sign in at reception at Upper Mount Joy where you will be given your ID card and a parking permit if this has been agreed. If you are working at our Stockton campus, you should sign in at the Ebsworth building. Access keys are also held at Upper Mount Joy reception where they will need to be signed out. You should have been provided with a contractor's policy which details our expectation and controls for works across the estate. This should be reviewed before attending site. Your risk assessments and method statements for your work should reflect the expectations within the contractor's policy. You should know how to reach your Durham University contact and report any accidents or concerns to them at the earliest opportunity. You must have a permit to park in the university's car parks. These are limited and so you should ensure you have enough for any vehicles brought to site. You may need to park away from your work area and walk to it or share vehicles. On-street parking is available around the city which incurs a charge. You should follow all signs and directions when driving around the estate. If you are working on Palace Green, a charge is payable per vehicle to access. This is a very high pedestrian area so vehicle access should be clearly justifiable. You should ensure that banksmen are available for any reversing of vehicles in pedestrian areas and for the movement of any plant across the estate. You may be required to undergo a local induction where you work if there are particular risks such as a lab area or accommodation. You should inform any subcontractors of this to ensure they know what to do in these areas. You should behave with consideration of those around you and act respectfully to all those on the estate. Smoking and vaping should only be done in designated areas and under no circumstances should you be at work under the influence of drugs or alcohol. You should have provided risk assessments and method statements to your estates and facilities directorate contact. You should keep copies of these with you on site and work to them. If you can't or have to change the work process, you should contact your Durham University contact to review. You should ensure your work area is secure and that unauthorized people cannot access it. Fixed barriers over tape and cones should be used where possible and you should consider the risk from children and students entering the work area. Signage and barriers should be used where needed. You should also not enter other parts of the estate you are not authorized to access. Fire safety on the estate is paramount. You should make yourself aware of fire arrangements at your workplace. In the event of a fire, you should raise the alarm and call 999 immediately. If you hear an alarm, you should evacuate the building and proceed to the nearest assembly point. Fire drills are carried out termly, but the exact date is not publicized. You should be informed by your local contact when alarms are to be tested. You should not prop open fire doors. If you are working in an area without a fixed fire alarm system, then you should ensure there are means to raise the alarm. You should ensure that someone working with you is first aid trained. In the event of an emergency, you should contact the emergency services and inform your university contact as soon as possible. There are several defibrillators around the estate. If you don't know where your nearest is, it will be told to you when you call 999. You should ensure you always wear the correct PPE and that it is worn correctly. Any RPE required should be in good condition and fit you properly. Wherever possible, you should wear company-branded clothing whilst on the estate. Asbestos can be found in many of the university's buildings. Surveys of buildings are available where required, but you should only work where there is a risk of asbestos if you have asbestos awareness training and the risks have been properly considered and controlled. Only licensed asbestos removal contractors can carry out work on asbestos on the estate. Certain parts of the estate have increased risks such as labs, plant rooms, and research areas. You should not access these areas without specific authority. The university also has numerous residential buildings as well as historic and religious buildings. Works here should be carried out accordingly with consideration to building users and visitors. You should not work on live electrics without prior agreement from your estates and facilities contact, and if you are competent to do so. Wherever possible, you should use battery-powered equipment or 110V if it must be wired. Services should not be switched off without prior agreement, and any dead services should be brought to the attention of your university contact. Work at height should be planned in advance, and any access to roof areas must be agreed with your university contact. Any work at height equipment should be suitably inspected, and only those trained to use or adjust work at height equipment use it. You should consider the hierarchy of control when planning work at height. All construction dust should be controlled, and where possible, any cutting of materials should be done off-site. On-tool extraction should be used at all times, and there should be means to clear up any other dust other than dry sweeping. Consideration of how dust will affect fire detection should also be part of the planning of the works. Estates and Facilities Directorate operates a number of permits for high-risk work. These risk areas should be assessed as early as possible and a permit requested ahead of the work starting. You should liaise with your university contact regarding the completion and signing off of permits. Permit types are listed here. All work on roofs, crane lifts, and hot works require a permit. Other permits will be required depending on the work type. If you believe a permit is required, you should not progress work until a permit is in place. Materials and equipment should be stored safely throughout your works. Walkways and doorways should not be blocked, and any dangerous or flammable waste should be removed from site at the earliest opportunity. Skips should be secure and placed in safe areas. Where possible, waste should be sorted to reduce landfill waste. Durham University has a carbon management plan and expects all contractors to reduce energy waste wherever possible. The university is also committed to increasing its biodiversity across the campus and protecting the environment. You should consider this when using products and equipment on the estate. Thank you for completing this induction. You should now be aware of our expectations of you and how you should carry out your work to ensure yours and others' safety, as well as having minimal impact on the surround campus. If you have any queries or concerns whilst working on the estate, please speak to your Durham University contact.